Welcome everyone to the finals of the Leon Masters 2024. It's Vishy Anand versus Jaime Santos Latasa. Third game of the finals. The finals right now is evenly poised at 1 point apiece. Two draws in games 1 and 2. Vishy has the black pieces. Jaime has white. He'll try to press his opponent in this game. This is going to be very exciting. Clash of generations here. The arbiter comes in, starts the clock, 20 minutes plus 10 seconds increment, e4, e5, knight comes out to f3, Vishy puts his knight out on c6, and we have the Italian on the board. d3, knight to f6, and bishop to g5. A sharp line played here by white, but one of the advantages that black has is that he's not yet played pawn to d6, so the bishop can actually drop back to e7, and that's exactly what Vishy does. He plays his bishop back. And now bishop to g3, attacking the pawn on e5. d6 played here. And white pushes his pawn to a4. Black castles. And now Jaime pushes his pawn to h3. The bishops are actually a little bit weirdly positioned on g3 and e7. Both are slightly passive. We'll see who's able to activate it first. White castles. Anand actually has taken some space with his pawn move to a5 and now offers the trade of bishops. Jaime takes it. Pawn takes here by Vishy. And now this queen on d1 can come out on b3. So c3 is played. Queen b3 attacking b7 and e6. Anand defends with his queen coming to d7. A knight comes out to d2. And how does black continue now? One idea is knight h5 to knight f4, but Anand first decides to double down the f file. This will definitely give him some chances later on to attack. Knight comes to c4. Well, the knight is well positioned here, keeping an eye on the e5 square. Now there are three pieces there. Vishy defends the pawn on a5. And whoa, he sacrifices his bishop. Look at that. Anand just sits up in his chair. He's like, wow, I didn't expect this one. But a very interesting move by Jaime Santos, because after pawn takes, he wants to take it with his knight. It will result in the trade of one pair of knights. But then with the other knight coming to e5, it's going to fork the queen and the rook. So queen e8, and now after knight takes on f7, queen takes f7, we have a position where white has a rook and two pawns here, and black has two minor pieces. Ideally this should be slightly better for white, but because all the pawns exist on the board, there's no open file for the rook. How does Vishy continue here? h5. I absolutely love this move because he wants to play h4 and then maybe use his knight to come to f4, and if white plays f4, then the knight can settle on g3. So that's the reason why Jaime goes g3, and Vishy can push the pawn now, but he plays c5. Now what the minor pieces need in such positions are safe squares. You can call them outposts. While what white needs are open files. So this is actually what the battle is all about. And that's why I feel like h4 would be a very interesting move, because it will create some weak squares in the camp. But Vishy goes queen g6. A useful move. Also at some point maybe he can try to play c4. Although as we mentioned, opening up the position is not in Vishy's favor. Now e5 played. Where can the knight go? Maybe knight to d5. In the center of the board could be an idea when you are threatening knight f4 with a fork. Yes, he plays his knight to d5. Now queen comes up to e4, offering a trade of queens. King comes up to h7, not trading. Now very important not to trade, because it would give the open file to the rooks. So that's the reason why king h7, and now h4 played by Jaime. Vishy goes queen f5. He's keeping the position closed. He's not taking on e4. If Jaime takes on f5, he's fine with it. c4 played here. The knight is attacked. The knight has to move. Knight c7 played. Now, the queen can actually enter and cause a lot of difficulties. Queen e5 and black is still doing okay, but plays rook a to d1 here. And Anand brings his rook to d8. Now, one of the plans could be to take, and plonk the rook on d4, not giving white the open file. So it could happen like take, rook d4. Black is doing fine here. But Vishy goes rook b8. Slightly confused there. Jaime has 2 minutes 50 seconds. Anand has 4 minutes on the clock. Rook e3 played. He wants to play rook f3 and force the trade of queens. Knight comes to a6, aiming to come to b4 and then eventually to c6 to d4. Vishy still not taking on e4, which is the right decision. Goes back with his queen. This is getting very intense here. Rook comes to e3 and this is a mistake because now he's wasted his time and the knight can come in to b4. That's a good move. Anand is actually turning on the screws here. Rook e2 played and now rook to d8. Fantastic move. This is taken, but now how do you stop the knight from coming to d4? As you can see, the minor pieces have found their outposts there. King f5, the king moves in. Vishy with 5 minutes on the clock and now knight comes back to c6, threatening a massive fork on d4. Wow. Anand has masterfully converted this position in his favor from a completely equal one. Check. King goes back. Is he going to come in further with his king? It's a little risky, but he is going for it. He's thinking about it, takes his time. That's what experience does to you. It makes you careful when you're winning in such situations. King g4. Rook comes back to e3. And now rook to f8. g5 is on the cards. Look at this idea. g5, hg, h4. And then the f4 pawn falls, h4, g5, everything falls. Rook h1 played. And pawn to g5 played. So takes, bishop takes. Now h4 again threatened here. So fantastic play there. And he plays rook e4. Now if you play h4, that could be a strong idea as well. But let's see what Anand does. He comes back with his bishop, which is the best move. f5 played, takes it. King g2 on the board. But now Anand has won back one of the pawns. His knight still beautifully positioned. Now bishop can come here. Rook is on the open file. It's completely winning position now. Rook e3. Vishy attacks the rook. Bishop g5. Keeping complete control on his nerves. It's such a joy to witness Vishy in action here, especially making all these accurate moves even at this stage in his career where he's not playing many games. Knight to c2 played, trying to come in to e3. King h3. And he plays his knight to e3. Well, now it's do or die for Jaime. He pushes his pawn in the center of the board. But Vishy comes knight g4, threatening a fork here. Rook, king g2. If you play knight f2, maybe there are some ideas with the pin. So he goes in with the rook and a check here. King comes back to g1. And he takes here the pawn. d5 played. And Vishy gives a check. Very nice. King g2, rook takes rook, king takes rook, knight f2 check, and you lose the rook there. Vishy Anand takes the lead in the match here with a phenomenal show of how to use your minor pieces against a rook.